Knock on the Saints door. Quarterback sneak by Tom Brady to the 43-year-old score. He did. Touchdown, Tampa Bay. Now spike that ball, Tom Brady. Who says I'm 43? He runs right up the gut and scores 6. 7. Handoff, run the ball. Fournette slashes away to the 40, to the 35, to the 30, to the 30, 25, to the 20. Fournette to the 10, 5, 3, 2, 1. Touchdown, Tampa Bay. Run the ball, Leonard Fournette. Wow, what a blast up the gut, found daylight, and outran everybody. Fire the cannons, get them going. Bucs win. Bucs win, Bucs win. Fire them cannons.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Swords Up Podcast. Today we're going to be talking about our Week 6 matchup against the Green Bay Packers. This is going to be a 4:25 p.m. game on Fox, and it's going to be broadcast nationally since there's going to be no other games in the Fox late slot. So this will be another matchup for the Buccaneers under the eyes of national television. But today I'm going to be looking at the key players and some key stats for today's game, and giving you a final prediction at the end of it. But as always, starting out with the injury report. On the Buccaneers side of things, Carson Davis has an abdomen injury. He was a limited participant today in practice. He's going to be questionable heading into this one, as well as Khalil Davis and Leonard Fournette both dealing with ankle injuries. They are both questionable heading into this game. Everyone else that was dealing with an injury is going to be labeled with no injury designation heading into this one. That includes Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, as well as LaShawn McCoy who missed last week's game. So we should have our full array of weapons, obviously minus O.J. Howard, back for this one, including Chris Godwin, who has been out since he left the game in the middle of Week 3 with the hamstring injury. On the Packers side of things, so far they only have one player that is out of this game, and that's going to be Tyler Ervin, their kick returner and backup running back. He has a wrist injury, so he's going to be out of this one. Davante Adams is going to be questionable with a neck injury, as well as Rashawn Gary with an ankle injury, Kevin King with a quad injury, and Zadarius Smith with an ankle injury. All right, so now taking a look at the Packers side of things, I'm going to be highlighting their explosive offense this week as they've been averaging 38 points per game heading into this one. Coming off their bye this week, they're going to be well rested, and I think their offense should be clicking on all cylinders. Let's take a look at Aaron Rodgers first, and just looking at what he's done so far this season. He's completed 98 passes on 138 attempts for 1,214 yards, 13 touchdowns, and no interceptions. And that is a really key number right there. 0 interceptions. I'm pretty sure he's the only starting quarterback right now in the league with no interceptions. And then he also has a quarterback rating of 128.4. And you look at those numbers and say, wow, Aaron Rodgers is having a really impressive start to the season. And he definitely is. And people are considering him in the early MVP conversation, and I would as well. Packers are flying on all cylinders, and Aaron Rodgers is definitely having a resurgence this year, and he is definitely playing up to his peak powers again this year. Davante Adams, he's missed the last few games due to injury, but in the 2 games he has played so far this year, he's had 17 receptions for 192 yards and 2 touchdowns. He's definitely a key player for the Packers, even though they've been getting it done without him and Allen Lazard, so they're top 2 wide receivers. But Davante Adams will definitely be needed this week for the Packers. He is definitely a key component for them, considering they're placing a lot of trust in their current wide receiver room, and many people were skeptical of why the Packers didn't draft a wide receiver in this year's draft. But obviously they have a lot of trust with the guys they currently have, and Davante Adams is certainly proving their trust as valid. He is definitely one of the top receivers in the league and someone to definitely keep an eye on. But the key player I'm going to be highlighting this week is Aaron Jones, and I think he really should be more included in people's conversations for some of the top running backs in the league, as he is off to a terrific start to the year. Just looking at his stats so far, he has 65 carries for 374 yards. He's averaging 5.8 yards per carry, so that's really good. He has 4 rushing touchdowns, and then receiving, he has 15 receptions for 135 yards and 2 touchdowns. So I'd say he's definitely been the most productive player on this Packers offense so far. And like I mentioned, they're averaging 38 points per game heading into this one, so they're definitely going to be a force to reckon with our defense that has started out this season very well. And on that note, let's turn it over to the Buccaneers side of things and the key player that I'm going to be highlighting for this one. And I think this might be the first defensive player that I've highlighted as the key player And I'm going to be highlighting Carlton Davis this week, as he had once again another interception last week against the Bears, and he continues his impressive start to the season by adding an interception to the stats, in which he already has so far. Looking at the stats from this season so far for Carlton Davis, he has 20 tackles, 6 passes defended, and 3 interceptions. Obviously, he's been around the ball really well. He's shut down the top receivers like Michael Thomas and held Allen Robinson to without a touchdown. Although he did have 10 catches for 90 yards last week, he was also able to grab an interception on a pass targeted for Allen Robinson. Other important stats from the Buccaneers heading into this one, as I kind of wanted to do a little bit of a quarterback comparison so far from this season. So I'm going to be giving Tom Brady stats from the season so far. So Tom Brady so far this season has 126 completions on 196 attempts for 1,375 yards, 12 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions. But those 4 interceptions came in the first 4 games of the season. He had 2 in the first game against the Saints. He had 1 in the second game against the Panthers, and then 1 in the 4th game against the Chargers. So I think that interception total is kind of misleading, considering that, now he's definitely taking care of the ball a lot more since he's more comfortable with the system, 5 games in. And I think we're going to see the usual Tom Brady where he keeps that interception total down. And then that's going to raise up his quarterback rating right now, which is 96.8. Still pretty good, but I think that can definitely go up with some more touchdown passes and less interceptions. Another wide receiver that's expected to come back this week that's been injured this season, and that's Chris Godwin. Obviously, the hamstring injury that he suffered in Week 3, in which he was taken out in the middle of the game. He has not played since then, and like Davante Adams, has only played 2 games. And in 2 games, he has 11 catches for 143 yards and 1 touchdown. Another player I anticipate is coming back this week, although I would keep an eye on his status because the Buccaneers may hold him out, is Leonard Fournette. So far, he has 24 carries for 123 yards, averaging 5.1 yards per carry with 2 touchdowns and 7 catches for 34 yards. And while Leonard Fournette has had a pretty good year so far in the 4 games that he has played, I think Ronald Jones has really grabbed control of that number 1 running back spot, especially with 2 back-to-back 100-yard carry games, so I'd also keep an eye on Ronald Jones heading into this one. So considering all of the stats and the key factors from this one, I think the key stat that I keep mentioning over and over again is how the Packers are averaging 38 points per game so far heading into this game. And I think our defense might be able to limit them under that total. I think they definitely will, but it's just a matter of, will we keep the Packers out of the end zone? I think we're going to allow a decent amount of yards in this one. So are we going to be that bend, don't break kind of defense this week? We'll see. But I just think the Packers offense is super highly powered, and they're just on a roll right now, coming off a bye especially. And just looking how our offense was cooled down last week by the Bears defense, I think that's going to force our offense into a shootout this week. And with the weapons coming back that we have, like Chris Godwin and LaShawn McCoy, and then Mike Evans, who's been playing with an injury, just injuries on the offensive side, I don't know if we're going to be able to keep up with the Packers because they're going to force us into a shootout. Well, I think the defense will make plays. I don't know if I can trust the offense in a shootout just yet at this point in the season. Probably I feel more comfortable later in the season, but now I just don't think we're going to have enough offensive firepower to keep up with the Packers. So I'd say the Packers are probably going to win this one by a score of 34-23. And oddly enough, I think this is the first time so far that I've predicted the Buccaneers to lose a game, but hopefully I'm wrong. We'll see how it goes. But let me know what you think about this game in the comments below. That's about it for this one. Hope you guys enjoy Week 6's games, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you for watching, and go